Hey guys, I had to make a confession. My thoughts on preamps and converters have changed. After experiencing a audio interface that has a nice preamp, a nice analog to digital converter, a nice digital to analog converter, I've got to say these parts absolutely make a difference, and I'm sorry for saying any different. Now, do they make a major difference? That's the question. I can tell you this. When it comes to mixing a song that was recorded with a cheaper interface, with cheaper preamps, cheaper converters. Now, cheaper doesn't mean bad. I'm saying cheaper as in lower quality. Comparing what I can do with a mix that was recorded with, for example, my Audient ID14 interface compared to the Tascam 800, I forget the rest of the model number, interface that we use, not on this channel anymore, but yeah, you can hear that on the SoundCloud page for Real Home Recording. When I did the live mix, I did that with the Tascam, and also then I use mixing tools to make it better. But when you compare the unmixed recording that I did with the Audient to the unmixed recording that I did with the Tascam, it's a world of difference, and you can only polish a turd so much. I mean, I'm using some of the best plugins that you can get, and you just can't push the sound to make it sound any better than it was going down. Obviously, it'll sound better, but it won't sound great. With the Audient and with other interfaces like it, you can absolutely push it. By the way, I'm not disrespecting Tascam at all. There's only so much quality they can fit into a $200 interface. Now you compare that to their $300, $400 interface, I believe it's called the UH7000. That is their premier flagship audio interface, and that probably sounds just as good, if not better, than the Audient. That's the difference between the quality, and that's why, yes, preamp quality matters. Yes, converter quality matters. In the long run, you know, when you go back and remix stuff, which you will, I have done to my own material, you'll realize you can only push that stuff so far. But, you know, when I made the recording with the Audient for the first time and listened back, I was like, wow, that almost sounds like what I recorded in the room. It wasn't perfect. I didn't have any equalizers to enhance the sound, and I didn't have the luxury of a nice monitoring system that's calibrated with the recording environment that I was in. But for what it was, it sounded really damn good. You know, I would love to have an API 512 preamp or a 312 with an API EQ or a Neve EQ, a Neve preamp. Absolutely, I would love to have all this stuff. I don't have $10,000 laying around though. So I'll tell you what though, for the price, I'm extremely happy with the Audient. I absolutely recommend it. I still haven't done a review on it because I haven't recorded bass guitar through it. I haven't recorded keyboards through it. I will, and I will get a review of it out eventually, but I've been using the interface since, let's say, February. I have been using it not for recording all the time, but I use it as my main sound card now, and I love listening to music through it. I love being able to adjust my volume in software instead of having to do it on the knob or to do it on the actual interface. Like, that type of thing is a big time saver. So if you're looking for an audio interface, especially because of the fact that you can expand on the interface, I can get up to 10 inputs with this thing if I buy myself a Behringer I forget the model number, but it's like a Behringer ADAT interface. I just hook it up to it with a Toslink cable, and there I have 10 more or 8 more channels that I can record at 24-bit 48 kilohertz. Obviously, I wish I could record at 96 kilohertz, but hey, you got to give and take with what you have. And for a combined price of $500 for 10 quality, well, I don't know about the Behringers yet, but one day I might buy that add-on, or I can get the Audient. They sell their own expansion, and you know, that's a great quality. I mean, like I said, the Audient preamps really surprised me. It really surprised me with what I was able to do as far as mixing, and absolutely recording the best you can will affect the ability to mix later on down the road. You have to get it as good as you possibly can on your budget prior to it hitting the digital ones and zeros at your converter. And I really think the Audient ID14, the Audient ID4, if you only need one channel, I think it also supports, it supports the DI channel and the XLR channel being recorded at the same time. But I think the ID14 is the best interface for under $300. The ID4 is great. M Audio just put out a new interface as well, the 2x2M, that adds a USB input and output, along with, there's another feature on there, but I can't vouch for that quality. That's the thing. I cannot vouch for the quality of the M Audio unit. So, but I can absolutely vouch for the quality of the Audient ID14. ID4 is a little bit different on the converters, but the same preamp. If there's any other interface suggestions out there, I'm welcome to them. But like I said, guys, as far as I'm concerned, I am completely happy with the ID14. And that's what made me change my mind on whether preamps were good or not, because my ears tell me what I'm hearing. And if you compare like I said, what I didn't mix compared to what I did mix, I mean, the band that I recorded with the Tascam sounded fantastic in the room. They were using a nice Mesa Boogie amplifier. They were using a Fender Stratocaster or a Gibson. I think, yeah, he had a Gibson. Yeah, he had a Gibson. I'm not sure if it was a Studio or an SG, but he had a nice, I mean, in the room, the instruments sounded great. But I can tell you right now, it would have sounded so much better if I would have had an Audient plus an Audient ASP08 or whatever their expansion is. I think the ASP800. One of those two. If I would have had all Audient preamps, recording them, it would have been even better. But you can't have what you want. I mean, again, it comes down to budget. But got to retract my previous statements about preamps. I didn't really say much about converters before, but I was kind of like, converters are converters. They kind of still are, but I can tell you that just there's a difference. There's definitely a difference. It's not a major difference where you want to be breaking the bank on buying like a Burl Mothership or Burl Bomber or whatever it's called, or some of these preamps, or there's a converter from Prism Sound that costs like $9,000. That's absolutely ridiculous. But my tech sells some good stuff. Audient though, I mean, really the ID22 has one of the top of the line analog to digital converters for under $800. So I'm looking at that and I'm like, yeah, that's a good interface right there. And you know, you can bypass the preamps. You can't do that on the ID14. You can bypass the you can bypass the preamps entirely with the ID22. So call me an Audient fanboy, but I think they are just knocking it out of the park. They basically made all the other interfaces out there look like scrubs. And yeah, definitely check out the Audient interfaces. And that's about it. This has been Adam for RealHomeRecording.com.